All right, let's go and get our physical science journal and write about the observations we've seen this week. When wood gets wet. Where does wood come from? Wood comes from trees. Right. Go to the next page, flip my paper over, and the first thing we do, that's right, write our focus question on the top.
What happens when wood gets wet? Don't forget, underline your focus question in red. First, let's draw our wood samples. The wood samples are rectangular prisms, which are a 3D shape or three-dimensional shape. Three-dimensional shapes have faces or surfaces. A rectangular prism has a rectangular face. This is what I think the cedar sample looks like. Let's think about that rectangle again. I can put dots where the vertices or corners of the rectangle would be, and then draw long straight lines to each dot, creating a rectangle. I'm going to think about what the wood looks like. Is it light or dark? The basswood is very light. It's hard to see the grains of the wood. Next, I'm going to draw another rectangle. And I'm going to think about the pine. The pine has long, curvy grains. It is darker than the basswood, but not as dark as the cedar. Now I'm going to draw another rectangle for the particle board sample. The particle board is made of small chips of wood. So I'm creating the texture by kind of putting small scribbles all over the rectangle. That's what I think the particle board looks like. For the last face of my sample, I'm again going to use those dots on the vertices and connect the dots to make my last rectangle for the plywood. I think the plywood is one of my favorites just because it has long, straight lines of wood. They're not all the same color. It's really easy to tell how many pieces of wood the particle board has been made of. Now it's time to add what happened when the wood got wet. When I placed a small drop of water on the cedar wood, it spread out across the wood. When I placed a small drop of water on the basswood, it spread out a little bit. When I placed the drop of water on the pine, it created a small bead of water. particle board absorbed the water very quickly. And the plywood also absorbed the water almost as quickly as the particle board. When I checked back, the cedar had also absorbed the water. Let's label each sample and what happened when the water was placed on it. The cedar spread out. The water on the basswood spread out. The water on the pine bead up. The particle board absorbed the water, and the plywood also absorbed the water. What are some other things that you observed when the wood got wet? Write a sentence in your journal, take a picture, and upload it to your Google Classroom.